Today in this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to start trading like a pro on TradingView. And some of you might be coming with moderate experience, but are looking for a gold standard professional setup. But whatever stage you're at, by the end of this video, my goal is to turn you into a full-blown master at TradingView, so you can be fully organized, efficient, and have a streamlined professional trading workflow, and get an aggregation of all the tips and tricks that I've learned over thousands and thousands of hours using this software for my over 8 years experience as a trader. So I'm essentially going to be setting up TradingView from scratch to show you how and why I do it. I'm going to show you things like general layout, color theme, chart style, customization, as well as a complete features overview so you know exactly what everything does. Then I'm going to show you how to set up an organized workflow for your trading. Then I'll show you all the tools, indicators, and keyboard shortcuts that quite frankly make this so much easier. Then at the end, I'm going to show you how all of these things come together and show you a little bit on how I use this on a daily basis. So if you're a beginner, I recommend just locking in on this entire video. Take your time so that you'll literally know everything that I know about TradingView. But if you're looking for something specific, I also have timestamps below this video. So if that sounds good, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing. Check us out on Instagram, Discord as well. We have an amazing trading community. All right, so I'm going to first show you how to get it set up on your computer and sort of what all the features are so that we can pull up a chart and start diving into the design and use of TradingView. So when you create an account on TradingView, it's going to look something like this. Okay, it's just going to show you a market overview and a summary of all of the markets that you can choose to look at, analyze, and start evaluating. Okay, a few of their key products that I use personally. First off is their economic calendar. So we can go to calendar here and click on economic. These are all the events that could potentially affect the markets and create movement and volatility. So we want to be watching what's going on for these days. Okay, quick tip on this. You can click on only high important events, and this is going to show you for the day which country is having an event and how this is likely to affect the market. Okay, they also have screeners to be able to find pairs to trade. I'm not going to go over that. Over here on this tab, this is going to show you all of the markets that they service. So whether you're trading stocks, exchange traded funds, crypto, forex, indices, future, bonds, etc., that's going to give you the list of what they service. Okay, this is a really cool tab. You can click on the news overview. I'm not on the internet. This is really good for just finding out why the markets are moving and what big relevant things there are to pay attention that can affect your trading and investing. All right, you can also scroll down here and choose the markets that you're interested in watching, and this will connect you to all the major headlines for you to be able to stay in the know with what's going on. Another quick tip with this, okay, I highly recommend downloading the desktop application. So if you go to more and then click on desktop application, they service for Windows, Mac, which is what I'm on, and they service Linux as well. That's going to allow you to have the app tabbed here, and it just makes it a lot cleaner of an experience. But let's get into the bread and butter of actually setting up our TradingView. So we go into products and click on our super charts tab. That should pull up a standard chart that looks like this. Okay, this is going to be your home base. Okay, if you want to go to your profile, it's right here. You can click on the home tab to always get back to this home page. And one of the big design things that you can sort of decide on in here, if you go into app settings, is whether you want the overall theme to track what your system is, or if you want it in dark or light mode. Okay, I tend to prefer dark mode just because I work late at night a lot of the times and it hurts my eyes like crazy. But I know that there's a big debate between which theme, but you can easily change it there and then set it up as your standards. So that's sort of up to you for you to decide. So this is going to be our main chart where we're doing all of our analysis and being able to look at any data that we want to start doing analysis with. And if you see the menu right here, this is going to show us which pair at the time we want to look at. So if we wanted to go, for example, into stocks and type in something like Apple, you can click on Apple, and now that's going to pull up a chart of Apple. This menu right here is going to show you your time frame. So for example, on this chart, we're using candlesticks. So each of these candles is showing us 1 week worth of movement. This being the open, this being the close, this being the high, and this being the low. The red candles, this is the open, this is the close, this is the high, and this is the low. So if I were to click down to a day, for example, now each of these candles is showing me a day's worth of price action. Go down to a 4 hour, say for a 1 minute. Now each candle is showing me a 1 minute. And this is what we're using when we're doing things like day trading to be able to find those little moves in the market and be able to make money off of that versus investing where you're probably going to use a daily or weekly analysis. If you tend to use specific frequencies, all you have to do is click on these stars and it's going to add or subtract sequentially onto this list. So I like to have the 1, the 3, the 5, 15, 30, and then 1 hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week. These are good intervals that I like to trade with. Okay, you can also create custom intervals here and it will all be saved under your list. This box is going to show you the format in which the data is presented to you. So I just showed you candlesticks, but you can also click on the star here and see a line version of this. I know a lot of people use Heikin-Ashi candles. This is how you're going to modify how you want to look at the data on your chart. Okay, this tab right here is going to be the section where you can start adding indicators to your chart. We're going to go over indicators in detail a little bit further into the video, but that's the tab for that. This tab is going to allow us to set alerts on our chart. Okay, we can also access this over here and manage all of our alerts. So say for example, I want to know when Apple breaks all-time highs. I can hover my cursor up at this level and click on this little plus here, click on add alert. This will automatically add a dotted line. If I double click on that, that's also going to take me back where I'll be able to customize the message that I wanted to read, the name of the alerts, and other details about that. And then once again, if I save that, I can go in here. I can either X out to get rid of it, or I can go in manage all of my alerts and be able to remove or add at that point as well. Okay, this next feature is really, really cool. It's something called bar replay. This is going to allow us a few options, but essentially the point is if I'm say practicing my day trading where I have a system, I want to make sure that it's working over time. Okay, I can click on this button, go down to this menu where I can either select a certain area where I want to jump the price action to. That way I can play it forward, pause it, say I wanted to buy or sell at a certain point based on the rule sets. You can then play this forward and see if this would work out in your favor or not, keep track of your stats, and sort of practice your trading without having to wait for it to develop in real time. This is one of the #1 tools that we use with our private team traders when they're practicing these strategies to be able to make profits on smaller moves in the market. Okay, this is a quick tool to test your proof of concept, and this is the way that I test a lot of the systems that I use, and is largely the reason why I'm on a 23 trade win streak and have nearly doubled my account. Okay, so it's a very, very helpful tool. There's a speed replay here, so if you want to have 1 candle every second, that's going to be this setting. You can also adjust this to 3 candles per second or 10 candles per second. The other option is to go back to a specific date, or you can have it jump to a random bar. That way you really won't remember where you are when you're practicing your trading. Okay, quick tip. If you don't know where your chart is and you're lost, all you have to do is go over to your right vertical axis, double click on this, and it's going to populate your chart back. This is one of those little things that can be really frustrating if you don't know, but once you do know it, it's just sort of a way to go back to home base. Okay, you'll also notice if you scrub sideways, it's going to automatically adjust the size of the chart. So see how it's stretching everything? All you have to do is just click and even move this, squish it down or drag it up just by a little bit, and now it's going to completely free you up, and you're going to be able to make this as wide or narrow as you want. So you have a little bit more control. So once again, if I'm lost way down here and I don't know where my chart is, double click on here and then just adjust this a little bit, and now you're back in complete control and your chart's going to be nicely centered. All right, you'll see there's also a nice feature for you to be able to buy and sell, which is once again a nice way for you to practice your trading. Okay, you can exit out of that and then we can reorient ourselves and continue with our charting. All right, this box up here is going to be our layout setup box. This is essentially going to allow us to set up multiple chart windows on one layout, which is going to allow us to do something called multi-time frame analysis. Now, there's a series of options here. Depending on what tier of TradingView that you have, this will dictate the layouts that you can make. Considering I'm a full-time trader, I have TradingView Premium. Okay, but I have a tip for you. If you wait till Black Friday, they always run 70% off the annual subscription. So you're already saving money on the annual, and then on Black Friday, it's 70% off. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can get it for way cheaper. So you can even pay per month for a few months and then buy the annual all up front, and you'll get a huge discount. I also have an affiliate code below. If you want to support me and you're already signing up for TradingView, feel free to do that in the description. So we have options for 2, 3, 4, and 5 different layouts. So for example, if I click on this, now I have 2 side-by-side charts, and there's infinite combinations. I can do this many charts, which is in my opinion ridiculous, right? We have availability to do this amount of charts. If anything, I'm bouncing between this type of setup where I have a main one and then maybe I'm watching 2 other things, or I'm just doing it on one big grid. What you'll learn with trading is the more simple that you keep it, oftentimes the more effective. But if you do want to be able to do multi-time frame analysis, this is going to be really helpful. So let's use this as an example. Say we want 3 charts on our setup. All right, we can stretch these and make these whatever size we want, but what's really important is this menu here. So you'll notice this is all showing Apple on a 5-minute frequency. And if I switch to 15 and say, for example, I toggle all of these forward, that means that everything is now going to sync simultaneously. So if I switch this to Apple on a 5-minute frequency, this is going to mean that all of my tabs are going to show Apple on a 5-minute frequency. But say, for example, I want Apple here on a 15-minute frequency. What I'm going to do is uncheck this interval, and now I can go click on 15, and that's going to modify this to a 15-minute frequency while keeping this a 1-minute frequency. So I'll be able to see 5 minutes and 15 simultaneously. Okay, I can also uncheck this symbol lock, which is going to allow me, say I want to look at the S&P 500. Now I can look at the SPY while having Apple pulled up over here. Okay, if I want to remove the crosshairs, that means that my crosshairs will only be showing on this chart, and it's not going to be showing simultaneously on this side. You'll notice when I click click down and drag my chart, this also moves all the other windows simultaneously. Well, if I uncheck date range, now I can move these independent to one another, which sort of gives you a lot of free control. All right, so say you have this type of setup and you want to make sure that you save it, or any sort of setup with different indicators that we're going to get into, or whatever setups, you can click on this, click on save layout, and then click on renamed, call it something like setup 1, and now you'll be able to select which setup you want to load. And if you click on this, it's going to populate your setup and have it saved nice and sound. Okay, this button right here is going to allow us to have complete control of all customization with our main charting layout. So we'll be able to decide the colors of our candles, what information is shown on our charts, as well as the color theme. Okay, I'm going to get into customization with that in just a little bit here. Okay, this button is going to be in control of our watch lists. So this is going to be part of the organization process that we're going to dive into in a little bit. Once again, we have our alerts. This section is going to allow us to track any sort of drawings that we do on our chart. So say I have a bunch of different drawings, I'll be able to manage them here. And there's a way that we can organize and manage this that I'm going to show you in just a second, which is going to keep you extremely organized. All right, and you'll remember the economic calendar that I was talking about. If you click on this button over here, that's going to quickly pull up any events right on the side menu. You can make this bigger or larger, and you'll have access to it right along here. Okay, this menu right here is going to allow us to select how our data is presented on our chart. So whether we want to see these numbers in percentages or we want to see it in numbers, we can make all those modifications there. All right, this bottom pane is going to show us our trading panel. So if we click here, we can actually connect to a broker. So say, for example, you want to connect to practice your trading through paper trading. This is going to allow you to connect. You can hit this button here, and now you'll be able to click on trade. That's going to open up your trading tab over here where you can practice putting in all your orders. So we're not going to dive into how exactly to use this in this video. So this is where you can mark off your take profit, your stop loss, set how many units you want to use, the price you want to enter. Okay, so say I wanted to buy 1 unit here at this price, I could hit buy, and now you'll see we have buy limits. So this is how you can execute trades on your trading view. All right, over here on this side of our chart is going to show us all of our indicators, drawings, and ways that we can do analysis on our chart. Okay, so I'm going to get into all of these in detail in a little bit. All right, so there's infinite amounts of tools that you can explore around with, right? But each time that you find one that you like and you customize, you can add a star on the ones that you want to keep around and keep handy. And then you'll notice there's a star down here in the bottom left of our screen. If we check this, this is going to pop up a movable column here where you'll have a quick access to all of your favorite tools. That way you don't have to click into the menu and continually try to dig and find them each time you want to use them. You can toggle this on and off by just clicking the star. All right, before we get into all of the indicators, I'm going to quickly show you how to customize your main charting layout. So I can go into my settings right here, or I can just right click on my chart and sort of have a lot of options as to what I want to do with my overall chart setup. You'll see I have my presets over here, but if I want to go into my settings, here how we can manage all of our customizations. So this is going to show you all of your candle colors. So the way I like to set up my chart is have the body, the border, and the wicks all in white. I chose this color orange, which if you want the RGB code is this. All right, so you'll notice as I change these colors, it's going to be modifying the colors on the chart. If, for example, we want the body to be hollow, I can then drop the opacity, which is going to fill in or take away the inside fill of the candles. We can also drop the opacity of all of these other elements. So if we drop the opacity down on everything, you'll notice now you can't see the candles on the screen anymore. So this is how I like to have my colors set up on my chart. Okay, so getting into this settings menu, we can toggle on our logo, which is just going to modify whether we see this logo in the top corner of our pair or not, as well as the title. So if we don't want the title, we can remove all of that. This is going to show us the market open time. So you'll see the markets are always open in crypto, but if you're trading different pairs, it's going to show us that data. This just gives you control of all of these different data points. So the next thing that I control for customizations on my main data set is going into Canvas and changing the chart background. So I usually choose this chart. If you wanted to do something like a gradient, you can then choose a darker color and have it go from one color to the other, right? I like to keep it super simple and not distracting. So I just pick this color here. It's easy on my eyes and I find it to be quite nice. Okay, grid lines, to me, what I like to do is focus on the price action itself. So I want to see the patterns. I don't always want to be distracted with all of these grid lines. Okay, these vertical grid lines to me don't really do much, right? So I'm usually dropping the opacity down to about 2% or 1% on the vertical grids, and then I'll do 2% on the horizontal. And this is just going to allow me to hardly see important levels, but it's not distracting from the main shape of the chart. But you can tweak this however much you want. Okay, you can change your crosshair color. So if you wanted to have a pink crosshair, you can. I like to keep it super simple gray. Okay, once once again, you can make it dotted. I like the dotted. I'm gonna switch dotted in real time. Let's go. This watermark, you can just check on or off. So it's gonna show you which pair you're trading. I know which pair I'm trading, right? Up in the top, it's right here. It's very obvious. This just gets in the way of my charting. So I like to just toggle this off. There's really no need for it. If you want to change the opacity to it, you can just drop it down just to like a really, really light, which is really fine. All right, this tab right down here is going to show you all of your data for your trading terminal, which I showed you guys how to set up here. So whether you're connected to a broker or you're just practicing, these are going to be all your controls as to whether or not you want your position data on chart, how you want to look at it, and all the details for there. All right, and once you have your chart set up the way you like it, you can click on template and hit save as. You'll see I have a few charting layouts set up, but my main one is my day trading one. So you'll notice if I hit apply, now I have my charts set up the way I want. All right, if you want to manage tabs quickly and flip between layouts, you can click on this. You can shift these tabs around the way you sort of use an internet browser, and you'll see all of your custom setups are going to be here. So if I want to trade in white, say I'm outside and it's really, really bright, right now I have a white charting layout. And a quick tip, when you're flipping between frequencies, say I want to look at a 5-minute time frame, all I have to do is type in 5 on the keyboard and hit enter. Then it's going to flip me to a 5-minute frequency. Then just double click on the vertical axis, click like that, and now you have control and you can switch between time frames. So if I want to go to a 30, type in 30, click to that, double click here, and then move it. And now you're able to switch between time frames. And when it comes to indicators, if you ever want to see what's on your chart, you can hit this toggle section and you'll be able to see all of the indicators that are added. If you ever want to hide them, you can click this button. If you want to change the settings, you can hit on this settings wheel. Okay, if you ever want to move or adjust, you can click here and you can create either a new pane above or a new pane below. So if I do that, that's going to give me a box on my chart to add an indicator. If I want to modify this, I'd click on the arrows, existing pane below. If I want to create a below pane, I can do the same thing, new pane below, and now I have volume on a separate axis. Quick tip with this, if you double click on your chart, it'll move all of the indicators in different panes out of the way and just show you your primary pane. So say for example, you have a ton of things stacked up. So say I have this, and I'm using all of this data. If I ever want to just clean it up and just look at my regular chart, double click and then bring this all back. All right, once again, if you want to add indicators, I'm going to show you a few indicators that I use a little bit in just a second here. Once again, you can look at your personal indicators, your favorites, or you can browse around to see technical indicators, financial, community only. Okay, so if I wanted to add a double EMA, I can click on double EMA, and now you'll notice I have my EMAs on my chart, and you'll see it listed up in this section. All right, so now let's get into tools and indicators. I'm going to show you how and why I customize them the way I do, which indicators that I use, as well as some really, really helpful keyboard shortcuts that allow you to be a lot faster when you're doing your analysis. All right, so like I said, over here is going to be all of the tools that you can add to your chart. So these are the primary ones that I like to use, and they can all be found in these menus over here. So the first and most simple, which is up here, is going to be our trend line indicator. All this is going to do is allow us to see a visual area where, say for example, we have these two highs here. So if the price is to come up and retest this level, we can expect from potentially this price to bounce once again off of this trend. And this tool is going to allow us to be able to see those important levels. So if I click on my tool here, you'll notice there's a little section where I can now add text along that trend line. Say I wanted to save this as a preset. Anytime I click on my indicator, and that goes for any tool or indicator that's on your chart, I now have this menu where I can click into the settings, adjust the color, whether it's dotted, all of these details, and then I can save this as a template. Now when I click a trend line, you'll notice this little thing comes up. Before I draw or click on my chart at all, I can click on this square and see all of my presets. So the way I have mine set up, I have one for a trend break, which you'll notice is red. So that shows me when one of these trends is being violated. And then you'll notice I also have my standard gray one, which is a regular trend. And this is how I'm able to draw my levels. All right, another really helpful tool as far as trend lines are concerned is this tool called the parallel channel tool, which you can find in this trend line section. This is going to allow me to click along, say, the low part of my trend, click again here, and then once I let go, I can move this up to the top, click again, and now this is going to keep perfectly vertical trend lines to allow me to understand where there's high potential areas for reversals. So in a situation like this, you'll notice that almost perfectly, this price came back up to test this horizontal level after we got a trend break along these lows. And just so that you can start understanding how trading works, say we were to start using this analysis to decide that the price would probably flip in this direction, we could place a controlled risk up here and have our expected take profit zone here, where say if we're risking $100, if we were able to do this analysis and predict this correctly and it comes back down, now we can make $300 in profit. And this is just a good understanding of why we start to do analysis. All we're trying to do is quantify these moves and try to make money off of of it. Okay, I'm not gonna go too far down that rabbit hole right now. Okay, the next tool that I like to use is the horizontal line tool. Now, this is going to allow me to just click and move horizontal lines along my chart. You'll notice I also have the option to add text here. Once again, I have defaults here. So I have take profit ones, I have stop loss ones, which is red, and then I have an average price as well. These are the three that I use when I'm managing positions, right? But you can customize this however you want. And if you want to add these quickly to your chart, you can hit Option H wherever your cursor is, and this is going to populate these as you go. All right, Command Z gets rid of them. And this is applicable for my trend line tool as well. So if I hit Option T, this is going to allow me to then just draw a trend line. And this is going to allow you to just be faster. All right, if I want to add a vertical line, I can hit Option V, and that's going to post vertical lines, which I like to use to keep track of sort of segments in the market or areas that I want to keep track of. The next tool that I like to use is the date and price range. Okay, this is just going to allow me to click at one point and draw anywhere on the chart to see how many days this period is, how many bars for the frequency, and what percentage change with volume what happened during this period. And this is just a good way to understand durations and distances on our chart. Another tool that's good for this is the price range tool. Okay, another quick way to do this is by holding down Shift on your keyboard and clicking anywhere, and that's going to allow this box to populate. So you'll see whether it's negative or positive, and you'll get the same exact data. Okay, this is more of a quick look because as soon as you click away, it disappears. But even with any drawing, say if I click on this box, I can either hit delete to get rid of it, or say I'm in the middle of drawing it and I realize that I don't want to use it anymore, I can hit the escape button, and that's going to also get rid of it. So if I'm starting to draw a trend line, I realize I don't want to do it, just hit escape, and that's going to nullify any sort of move that you're doing. This tool called the path tool, I like to use to just draw pretend trends to sort of explain things or to showcase where I anticipate prices to move. So for example, if I'm here and I think the price is going to move up, I could click and draw something like this. You'll notice as you click at each point, it'll allow you to make a different angle. And then as soon as you're done, just hit the escape button. It's going to leave it at the recent click that you made. And this is going to allow you to draw on your chart. This brush tool allows you to circle things and highlight things. I use this primarily to teach on YouTube when I'm taking trades or just to showcase things in general. Okay, but you can just freely draw in here, right? And once again, you can modify how this looks. So if I draw, I can change the color, I can change the size, and I can create presets as well. Quick tip, say if we have a lot of drawings on our chart and we want to get rid of things all at once. Another cool way to do that is to hold down Command, highlight in blue, and now you'll see all these blue points that are highlighted. If I just hit delete, now I can now delete each indicator, okay? Because otherwise, if I just click and try to move, it's going to move my chart. But as soon as I hit Command, now it's going to create a blue highlight wheel where now I can select individual things and erase or move them. Okay, this text button allows you to just put little notes on your chart. Okay, you can obviously customize this the same way. This circle button allows me to draw circles. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. All right, this next tool is probably my favorite tool that has ever been created in the trading world. It's something called the Fibonacci retracement. Okay, and the way this is going to come out of the box is going to look something like this. It's going to be all rainbow colored. It's going to be ridiculous. Essentially, what this is showing you is a ratio that's naturally found in nature called the golden ratio or the Fibonacci ratio. All right, and the golden ratio is the number 0.618 or 0.618. And this is a naturally occurring phenomenon that can allow us to predict certain levels on the chart. I have a ton of videos where I talk about this. I'm not going to dive too deep into the mechanics of that. I'll link a video right here where I discuss it in detail so you can understand a bit more. But you'll see we have our numbers over here: 0, 23.6, 38.2, 50, 61.8, 78.6 are 1. And then we have multiples: 161.8, 261.8, and so on. So I use these for two main things. But first thing that we want to do right away with this indicator is go into our settings here. I'm going to click on use one color, and I'm just going to click a gray, something that's not super intrusive. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is select these dots right here and make this thinner. Then I'm going to remove the 161.8, 361.8, 438.2, 2.618. For the example of the video, I'm going to make this a little bit brighter and then hit OK. And so what this is going to show me now is areas on the chart where we could potentially get dips and then continuations. So a crash course on this: whenever the price moves up, you're going to click from the beginning of this move to the end of the move. And then this 50 level and this 61.8 level are oftentimes really good key levels where the price will come down to and then correct and continue moving. And if that does happen, it can allow us to pick the tops of trends. Also show you a little sneak peek into that. Okay, but basically this is going to be our fundamental Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so you can customize this however you want. The way I have it customized is by reg fib. It looks something like this, nice and clean, where I have the the golden ratio highlighted in green, and then the rest are just standard. So let's take this move, for example, and play our bars forward. Say we get a big push up in movement, and now we're starting to break down to the low. I can now grab my Fibonacci starting from this lowest point up to this highest point and see how the price is now responding off of these levels. Okay, you'll notice the price came down to this 50 level right above the 61.8, and then this was the lowest point before we then saw a takeoff in price action, giving us that sort of good area to potentially start looking to enter trades based on data, based on our findings. Okay, this is one of the primary tools that we use. We can also use this on larger time frames. All right, and you'll see examples of this everywhere. Here's another example with this move right here. Just by eyeballing it, I can tell you that this point probably came perfectly down to the 61.8 value. So I can click here, go up to this high point, and you'll see came extremely close to that 61.8 zone and then continued making a move higher. Okay, if we look at a trend like this, we click from this high up to this high, you'll see this is the exact level into the 61.8 that this pulled into before having a major continuation. And we use this on our investing, on our trading, etc. Very powerful tool, probably my favorite tool in trading. There's a second variation of this Fibonacci called a trend-based Fibonacci extension. And what this is going to do is allow us to find the potential tops of trends. So let's look at a random example here. So notice how we have an overall trend, and this trend moves in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave pattern, right? So if we were to count this, we got our first little move, a correction, a bigger move, a little correction, and then a high. After we get this first little correction down here, we can then use something called the trend-based Fib extension, which is going to take a Fibonacci from this high to this high, and we can use multiples of that golden ratio to actually potentially find the tops of trends. I'm just showing you a little bit of inside the analysis that I like to do that has accelerated my trading and allowed me to be able to find these opportunities to make money. I go into so much more detail on the channel. So if you're overwhelmed, don't worry. I'm giving you essentially the crash course version, but just watch for the channel. You're going to learn a lot about these concepts that I'm showing you. But say, for example, we find this first little move. I can go into here, go to my trend-based Fib extension. Then we'll go to the lowest point on our candle, which was here, go up to our high, and then back down to this low. And if I stretch this over, you'll notice we're getting a resistance point off of our 261.8, and this 361.8 multiple after our 5-wave structure is the exact top, aligning with this exact value before we saw a major sell-off in the market. And this is ways that we can start looking at trends, look at where the trends break, use our Fibonacci's on overall moves to find where potential lows will be, right? So we got our low at our 61.8. Off of this one move, we have the top of the trend at the 361.8. And after we saw these lows broken, comes up, retests it, and has a massive sell-off. These are just some of the tools and the fundamentals that I use when I'm trading. And I'm just showing you how these drawings can start helping you find opportunities in areas in the market. Make sure you hit the like button on the video. This is going to help get the video out to everyone. Essentially, my goal is to make everyone extremely proficient in trading. Okay, this is one of my biggest passions, is giving people financial freedom. So let's make sure we get this video out to everyone. I want everyone on TradingView in 2024, 2025. So say I have all of my analysis done, but now I want to look and maybe potentially draw other analysis, or I want to save this analysis, but I don't want to necessarily have it stuck on my chart. This feature is really, really cool and can keep you super organized. So if you click on this tab that's called the object tree, that's going to show you all of your individual drawings on your chart. And this is something that took me a long time to realize, but if we want to group certain things together, right, all you have to do is click on one of them, hold down shift, click on the other. That's going to highlight all of your tools. That way, if you mute it, it's all going to be muted together. Then all you have to do is click on this folder, click on the name. You can name it whatever you want. You can minimize this down. You can expand it to see what's inside of it. Then if you want to hide or show this simultaneously, you now have this exact drawing titled exactly what you want, and you can just leave it on your chart, hit save, and now all of the trades that you take or the analysis that you do can be managed right in here, labeled, and you can keep everything nice and clean. Okay, this is one thing that's really, really helped me out. And the last tools that I like to use are the long and short positions. So say, for example, I want to enter a trade at this trend break. I can then click on, say, for example, a short position if I want the price to go down to make money. If I want to enter here with my risk contained here and my take profit at this level, now I can click on this, click into my settings. I can put my account size, the amount that I want to risk, my entry, my take profit levels, and this is going to show me all of the data that's required for this position. This is also going to show me one of the most most important pieces of data, which is this number here showing me my risk reward ratio. So notice how as I move this up, this is dropping my ratio, and as I tighten this is adding to my risk reward ratio. So if I risk $100 here, I'd be making $522. And I have these set up for my long and my short positions to allow me to manage my positions and see where my risk is on my chart. All right, so now that we have all of our tools and our chart set up, let's get into some indicators that I like to use and ways to add it and manage it on our chart. As far as indicators that I add on my chart, there's a few indicators that I use with my trading depending on the type of trading that I'm doing, but you'll see these are the personal ones I have set up on my charting. So this is for a new system that I'm designing. I'm not going to share that with you guys yet. Okay, I have some things to help me out with my trading, but one of the main things that I'm putting on my chart are two things. One is going to be the InnevaTrade Pro Plus indicator, and the other is going to be my IT Foundation indicator. Now, both of these serve completely different purposes. Okay, but once I click on these, I can then add them to my chart. And now you'll see I have all sorts of indicators added to my chart. Okay, so first, to go over the InnevaTrade Pro Plus indicator, this is a custom indicator that we made that essentially shows us areas of overvalued and undervalued periods in the market. So anytime this line crosses into this gray zone here and creates a highlight zone, this is showing us a potentially overvalued area in the chart. And then when we have deep areas of red, this can be an undervalued area on a chart. So we're not really using this as our main way of trading, but can help add something called confluences to our current strategies where we can really pick certain parts in the market to be able to make profit off of. So for example, right here, we get a deep highlight, and then this is the lowest point that the chart really goes before we have a bunch of highlights over here. So these are ways we can start to evaluate and create different trading ideas. All right, once again, if I want to get rid of this on my chart, I can double click and that will go away. The next indicator that I keep on my chart is for a different trading strategy. All right, this is going to show me a few things. It's first going to show me the New York Stock Exchange Open, where price tends to whip around and get crazy. I make a ton of videos talking about this. Okay, the second thing it's going to show me are these moving averages here. You'll see there's a 20, a 15, a 200-day moving average. When all of these are stacked on top of each other, notice how the color is red, indicating that the general direction of the price is moving down. Same thing happens in the opposite direction. So as the price is moving up and we have the 20 that's over the 50, over the 200, these are all lined up green, which can indicate and allow me to easier follow trends. Okay, so depending on the way that I'm trading, I'm usually toggling this on and off, but I'm primarily using technical analysis drawings rather than indicators itself, because indicators are only going to take you so far. Okay, but I wanted to show you the ones that I primarily use. Another really cool indicator, say for example, we wanted to take a long position here and ride this sort of momentum we have in the market. If I click on indicators, I can click on the InnevaTrade position size calculator, which is in the tools below this video. If you get the tools, you can add this to your trading view. So real quick, the way that you would do this is clicking on the indicator, going down to this section and clicking add to my favorites. That's going to make it so that when you click right here, it's going to be in your favorites list. But then basically what you can do is set up your box. You notice it'll prompt you click on your entry price. So if we click enter, we click on our take profit and we click on our stop loss, it's going to pop up a box. Say we want to risk $100 on the trade, we can hit apply. And now this is going to put on your chart here the exact quantity that you need to buy in at this value, your entry, your take profit, your stop loss, the amount of estimated profit if the price is to reach this level, as well as the risk reward on the trade. And it's going to label them right on your chart here. If you want to get rid of them or you want to move them, you can just click on them. It'll update the numbers. And if you want to get rid of it, you hit delete. And this is a really cool custom indicator. Shout out to the developer team, okay, that we have for the community. Like I said, it's in the description below if you want to add it to your chart and just have it sort of in your arsenal. This is something that I'm using when I'm trading just to get an idea of the gains on the trade. Okay, you can also use this during bar replay. So if you wanted to set up a position, say you took a long here, you can click on your InnevaTrade position calculator, click on your entry, take profit, stop loss, $100. You play this forward, price stops you out. Now you know at this point you would have lost $100 of risk. And then you can mark this with text, click on this, get rid of it, and then you can continue playing the bars forward and sort of take a look at your trading progress over time using these tools. All right, so now let's get into managing this all together and creating a workflow of organization when you're actually trading and looking at different pairs and trying to keep your analysis safe. So I'm going to open up my watch list here. This is going to give me a few options. If I click on this drop down menu, you can click create create new list. So for this, I'm going to call it example 1. Now I have a fresh watch list. So if I want to add different pairs, say I want to watch different things, so cryptocurrency, stocks, indices, whatever you want, I can click add symbol, and then I can just check all of the ones that apply. So say I have a mixed bag of futures, cryptocurrencies, and stocks. Now what I can do is a few things. I can click on these dots right here, and I can click add section. Now I can title this section by double clicking crypto, right? Now I can move these pairs up and down or erase it and keep these organized in a different section. So then I can go ahead, create another section, one for stocks, one for futures, and now I can move Bitcoin into the crypto. I can move the SPY into stocks. I can also move this up in general, right? So if I want to have stocks, cryptos, future, I can collapse these and I can manage these. This is one way of doing it, especially if you're on the free version of TradingView. You can organize all of your things like this. Okay, so I do things a little bit differently, and I use something called a flagging system. So I do have general watch lists that I just throw a bunch of pairs on. So for example, the kinds that I'm day trading, like on most of my videos, where I'm just trading cryptos to make quick profits. Okay, I have a whole list of those. Okay, so we have that example watch list. I have different watch lists. The way I'm managing most of my watch list is by using these flags here. So you'll see if I want to look at all of my stocks, now I have all of these pairs being tagged with flag selection. So if I unclick this, it's going to remove it off the list. And then if I want to add it back, I can then go back in here, click on this little flag, and now I can decide which color I want to use. So if I click back on red, that's going to pull this back up onto my list at the bottom. I can drag this back up, and this is going to allow me to manage positions like that. So for example, if I'm over on my Bybit list, right, and I click on Litecoin and I want to take a trade on Litecoin, or I have a specific trade idea, now I can go into this flag. I can put this as a green flag. Okay, what that's going to allow me to do is go over to my green list. Now my green list has all of these subcategories for all of the trading strategies that I use. So for example, I have my CH1s, my 35As, my TCLs, TC1s. These are all trading systems that I'm using. And now I can put this, say I have a 35A opportunity on Litecoin here. Then if it's a win, I can put it down here, and I can organize my watch list for the day on what I'm watching to trade. So if I have setups on a TCL Max, for example, I can add Sol, AVAX, and if I want to remove it, now I can remove this over, but I know it's still going to be on my Bybit list. Once again, I can flag this, go back over, go to my green list, move this to its applicable area, and this is the way I'm managing my trading sessions and keeping all of my stuff for the day organized. So if I have a win, I'll put it down here. Then say, for example, I want to go over, save my analysis. I can go into here, I can group my analysis, hit save, remove it off of my chart, remove AVAX, and now I have all of my data stored on AVAX, but I can keep my watch list clean and keep organized on what I want to approach for the day and how I want to have my charts displayed. All right, and say I'm on a big watch list. If I want to switch between pairs, I can hit the space bar, and that's going to automatically flip me through all of my pairs. So I don't have to click on each one. So I can minimize my watch list, click the space bar, and that's going to take me through my entire watch list. Once again, just click on this axis, you'll be able to control things. You switch it, you just keep doing that. You can look between pairs and quickly just cycle through ideas and find ideas. So now let's get into using all of these things together. I'm going to show you an example of how I open up my TradingView, set everything up for my trading session, and what I'm looking at for specific trade ideas. Okay, this is just going to show you how advanced trading can get, and once you master all these concepts, what you can start doing. So for the day, I'll open up this tab, and then I'll click on my economy, and I'll look at all the high importance events that are going to happen for the day. Okay, so on Monday, there's no scheduled reports, which means it should be a clean trading day, nothing extra to consider. Okay, the next thing that I'll do is go over into our free community Discord. Link is in the description. Okay, take advantage of all these resources. It's absolutely epic. But I'll go into my daily analysis and I'll look to see what the daily bias is showing us. You can see closed bearish, daily bias was bearish as of yesterday, and you'll notice that the Bitcoin market is actually down. I use this as my overall bias tool to pick directions on the trade. Next thing that I'll do is go over to our smart alerts. This gives us a data feed of trade ideas. Then once we go back into TradingView, I'll flip through my watch list and start looking for pairs that I can trade that are going to fit my trading pair pattern. Okay, so say I'm playing off of this trend here on Solana where I want this price to make another move down. I can then mark this. Say I find another trade setup that I like on Link, I can mark this as well. Then once I find all of my ideas, I'll go to my green list. I'll organize these in order of priority, in order of the system ideas that I'm looking at. So if I want to trade Solana, now I'd be able to do all of my analysis on my trade. This isn't a real trade idea, but if I wanted to go short here, I could set up my position, set it up on my exchange. I could manage all of my drawings right here. And then depending on how this trade would unfold, I can click all of my analysis, group this into one setting, go here, save, go over into my custom Notion table, make sure I'm following all of my daily checklist. And then once the trade is complete, I can go ahead and log all of my trade information into my tracker, save it on my chart. And this workflow allows me to be able to actively trade the market. All right, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of things that we focus on the private side of our trading team, because these are the true things that are going to get you the trading results. An example of one of our members, Blue, getting a 9x on one trade, which is awesome. Okay, a big shout out to Snootorious, right? Using his tracker, tracking his progress, and has been able to run up 5K in profit in just 60 days as a beginner, just joining our team, which is absolutely epic. So these tools are going to allow you to get there. So I wanted to give you this consolidated framework version and show you a complete overview of how to master TradingView. All right, if you found this video helpful, make sure you once again hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing, use our Discord, use our free tools. Okay, let me know in the comments if you like this video. Okay, check out these other videos, and until next time, I will see you all in the next one.